Hello, good morning. My name is Keoung-Yeol. Uh, my school is the Yongsan University. My major is social welfare science. I want to present about the Korean inclusive education study from comparison on special education law on American to you. Yeah. The contents is full. First, introduction. Second, research method. Number three, result of the research. Number four, conclusion and decision. Yeah. I want to research about that. First one, what is the problem of the researching? In order for good policies to be implemented consistently, the enactment and the revision of the law is necessary in order for our society to become more mature into a more civilized society. Efforts need to be made to enact or revise the law for integrated education with the interest and the support of the of all the people. Currently, many laws are enacted and revised in Korea to improve the quality of the life for the disabled, such as the Special Education Act for the Disabled, the Act on the Protection of Discrimination Against Disabled People, the Act on the Promotion of Employment and the Rehabilitations of people with disabilities, and the information access. In particular, Korean established the foundations for integrated education through the revision of the Special Education Promotion Act in 1994. In using educational right in the same educational environment as a disabled and ordinary students. The Special Education Act on the Disabled was enacted on May 25, 2007. To provide an integrated education environment for the disabled and those with special education are needed. Yeah. Next, research the problem. What is the what do you think of the research problem in my research? The purpose of the of this study is firstly, we compare and analyze the law related to special education in South Korea and the United States. Secondly, I would like to learn about the task for the integrated education in Korea. Yeah, next, subject to a study, we would like to examine the legal system for the realization of the integrated education in two countries, the United States and South Korea, and see how the integrated educational environment has been established as a result of the legal system. We compare and analyzed the following item in South Korea and the United States. To this end, the analysis was focused on the domestic and foreign literature, related laws, and a policy report. Yeah, I want to know the result of the research for you. First one, I want to present the contents of the special education in United States. Special education in the United States began in the early 19th century. It was a times of the optimism and the belief in human potential. A special education in the United States has been initiated and developed mainly by people who has been the European country, such as France and the United Kingdom, to learn special education, and those who has uh, immigrated from the Europe. Due to their activities and the precedent of the advocacy group, such as this, the Ministry of the Health, Education, and Welfare established a special education department in the 1966 and provided financial support for the special education program. However, many disabled children were unable to continue their education and were uh, classified and placed. So the quiet revolution began because of that. During this revolution, which began in 1970, procedures such as discrimination, classification, and the circumstance of the children with disabilities were criticized and were subject to the litigation and legal action. And in the lawsuit, it was ruled that disabled children were classified and placed. The quiet revolution reaches its climax in April of 1975. Yeah. Okay. Elementary Education and Secondary Education Act of 1965. The act took effect in 1965 and allowed the spatial measure to be taken by the federal government for children from the family with the low economic benefits and children who are likely to experience delayed in learning more than the legislations has become mandatory for educational measure by placing a learning disability in one area of special education. The Elementary and the Secondary Education Act was revised in the 1969, and a part of it became the Education Act for children with learning disabilities. Yeah. Second, next, Education for All Handicapped Children Act. With the enactment of the American Disabled Children's Education Act 1975, the special education in the United States was transformed. The United States Disabled Children's Education Act stimulated that local districts should come up with an individual education program for these individual students with special educational need to be included in the individual education plan. This act emphasized the six principles in first one, uh, appropriate free education. Number two, non-discriminatory evaluation. Number three, individualized curriculum. Number four, a minimal environmental. Number five, a legal procedure. Number six, parents participation. Next, amendment to the All Handicapped Children's Education Act. The act provided the first funding of the $6.6 million to develop and support vocational transformations education. Educational Institute for the special education and rehabilitation service present model that fill the gap between the school and the workplace, and highlighting the vocation education as a national priority. The law also began to consider school to job conversion service program planning as a policy. Next, reapproval of education act for the all handicapped children. In 1986, PR 142 were approved as the PR 457, making it mandatory for the individual transition plan, individual transitional plan for infants and high school students. Yeah, next, Education Act for the disabled. PR 99 457 was remained IDEA in 1990. The change in the name was the result of the change to individual with disabilities. In line with the People First Language movement, the revision of the IDEA in 1990 was the first change in the conception of the recognizing people first, and it was mandatory to establish a conversion education plan at the age of 16 by adding autism and brain damage to special education subject. The revised United States disabled People's Education Act include appropriate free and applicable public education, a minimal limited educational environment, individualized education program, and a safety device regulation associated with it. Next, a revised of the Individual with the Disabilities Education Act. Next, No Child Left Behind Act. Congress passed the No Child Left Behind Act in 2001. The act was the reform of the Early and Secondary Education Act of the 1965. The law emphasized responsibility for all students, including students with the disabilities. Strong responsibilities for result of greater flexibility in the local control, a greater parents' choice of greater teaching in the approval way. Yeah. Next. In this time, I want to introduce the sort of the special education law in South Korea. First, the Constitution. The Constitution of the Republic of the Korea stipulated that all citizens have dignity and value as human beings, the right to pursue happiness, and the state has an obligation to identify and guarantee the inviolable basic human right of the individual. Frame Act on Education in South Korea. The framework on education stimulated the promotion of the education first and the education with the aim of the established nation and the local government responsibility for education. Yeah, and the Elementary and the Secondary Education Act in South Korea. According to Article 55 and 56 in this act, special schools are designed to provide the kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, or high school with their knowledge function and social adaptational education to those who need special education due to physical, mental, intellectual disabilities. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In this time, conclusion and decision. I want to, it is very difficult for me to find the result of that research. Okay, I found the two results. First one, the United States Education Act has been continuously moving toward the integrated education for a long time. It specific and detailed the right of the students with the disabilities to learn. Compared to the United States, special education related law, South Korea, South Korea's special education related law has no purpose and definition of the education, and the evaluation system has not been institutionalized. Secondly, the current education of the People with Disabilities Act of the 1997, there's the Disabled People Education Act in the United States to improve the educational condition, with the federal government providing financial support for the state implementation of special education. Okay, thank you for your listening about my presentation. Thank you.